Well, hello. Welcome to Teaching Tuesday. I'm just going to take a minute and share this video like I do normally while we're waiting for a few minutes for people to come on. How are you? What's new in your world, in your life? What's happening? Um, Things have been really busy and good in a great way. My coaching practice is growing, and I just couldn't be any happier. I really am living the dream as far as creating the life that I wanted to create. It's like you spend so long thinking about, wanting to create the life and really envisioning it that I think sometimes when you can actually be living it and not even realizing you're living it. I know my husband, one of his things that he says is he helps people that are trapped in the game of more. And I really love that so much because I can relate to that, trapped in the game of more. And today's topic is really about being a ticking time bomb. And that's what happens when you're trapped in the game of more. So it's really funny, the title today, Straddling the Line Between Crass and Class, says the girl whose catchphrase, or one of my favorite quotes to say, is at the buffet of life, your job is to eat less shit. Well, isn't that kind of crass? Aren't I being crass? Well, listen, I'm the girl that definitely is totally myself, right? I'm the type of girl that would wear a jean jacket with a ball gown. Like, in fact, I'm usually a jean jacket away from a bad decision. Like, that's how I roll. So I'm really not talking about being yourself or, crass in the sense of where, what I'm talking about, really legitimately ticking time bomb, like blowing up, losing your shit, going absolutely bananas, and something way out of character for you. And that's the kind of behavior. And let me just sum it up for you. I'll give you an example of like how this used to show up in my own life. One time I was traveling around and working around the country as a business consultant, and I was like flying home from one of my trips, and I was waiting for the bus at the Baltimore airport for like an hour. I was waiting for this bus, and there was an A bus and a B bus, and depending upon the lot that you parked in. So I'm like, all right, I was like the B bus. So I'm like, let me wait here. I was in my 3-piece pinstripe suit back then because that was cool to like your menswear lady ball outfit, lady balls gear back in the 90s. And so like I'm in my suit, in my power suit, my pumps, and I have my bags, and finally the B bus comes. I'm like, thank God. So I climb up the stairs, get all my luggage, get onto the B bus, and there's a bunch of people sitting around, and I'm noticing it's like really super packed. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? It's really late at night. It's like 1 a.m. or something. And I'm looking around, everybody's like in like Hawaiian shirts and like straw hats and stuff. And I'm just like, so I've been flying all day. I was really tired. So all of a sudden the bus driver's like, well, good evening, everybody. We'll be at the A lot in no time. And I was like, what? And I marched up to the front of the bus and put my hand on the bus driver's seat and one hand like on his shoulder. And I was like, hey buddy, what's it say on your bus there? What's it say on the top there? He goes, well, it says the B bus. I said, then why the fuck are we in the A? And like the whole bus was quiet because they watched me march up to this guy. So then I marched back to my seat, and all of a sudden this guy sitting down with one of the Hawaiian shirts and the straw hats looks at me and he goes, it's like 1:30 in the morning at this point, right? Mind you. And he goes, oh, settle down, little lady. You'll get there when you get there. And I was like, ticking time bomb, ticking time bomb, ticking time bomb. And all of a sudden it all welled up in me. And I stood up in my suit and I stood over top of him and I said, listen up, Vacation Bob. All right. That's all well and good. You'll get there when you get there. But I am, he said something about me being a lady. Why don't you be a lady and you'll get there when you get there? Because he heard me swear to the bus driver. So I looked over and I said, listen up, Vacation Bob. I said, I am a lady. I'm a fucking business lady. Why don't you save that other shit for your wife? And then I sat back down in my chair and I was like, who am I? Who am I? I have like multiple personality disorders. Like when I was living in Dallas, like everybody was like saying this, you know how you're really ticking time off if you live in Dallas. You say things like, bless your heart, Oh, bless her heart. That means she is dumber than a box of rocks and she can't find her way out of a paper bag. Bless her heart. Bless her heart. Well, at this point, I'm thinking, wow, I'd really lost it. And I had several instances like that when I was traveling around, like looking like I had the great life, making lots of money, doing lots of deals. Everything looked good outside looking in, but I literally was a ticking time bomb and I'd go off on anybody. One time on an airplane, I was on a red eye and there was this little girl in the front seat. She was probably 5 years old. And the mom was like, where are we going to take off? And the little girl was like, why? And she goes, because we're going to grandma's house. And the little girl was like, why? And she goes, because you love your grandma. Now I'm trying to sleep. It's a red eye. So finally, after about 15 minutes of this, I knocked on the front of the seat and the mom turned around. I was like a psychopath. I was like, hi, how you doing? Listen, why don't you tell your little girl to shut up and tell her it's quiet time? And when she asks you why, oh, she will. She'll ask you why, because that's what she does. You tell her it's a red eye and I'm trying to fucking sleep. Like a psycho, okay? Sorry for so much profanity, but you get the point, right? I was literally a ticking time bomb going off on poor children, on strangers, thinking there's something wrong with me. Well, I need to like relax more or take a medication to calm my nerves. Maybe I should take some Ativan or some Xanax and just try to chill out and medicate the problem, like slap an Instagram filter on it, instead of actually looking to the root of what might actually be causing me to be a ticking time bomb. What is really going on in your life? If you can relate to this, if all of a sudden you're going along fine and then you melt down on the Papa John's guy, because he's late and he forgot your damn pepperoni, and all of a sudden you're like, dimming the lights and getting the butcher knife. I mean, it's a problem, right? And I don't really think it's a personality problem. I don't think that you're like borderline or bipolar or we give fancy. I think you're unhappy. I think you're unhappy in your life, and and I know in my case, my ticking time bombness was just a manifestation of what I was denying in my own life to be true. And that goes back to what we talk about all the time, which is the suck it up mentality, the suck it up buttercup. And what are you sucking up and eventually stuffing down? So I could look at my own life and I could see, now you guys comment on here. Hi, Lacey. Comment on here. Hi, Amy. Hi, Heather. Hi, Kara. Oh, sweet Caroline. Comment afterwards, because I go back and read these comments. You know that I like to teach and I just like to go. So, but be commenting on here and I'll be more than happy to go back and add my comments to your comments as we go. So what creates, hey, Carol, what creates this ticking time bomb mentality is really, it's a signal, it's a symptom of what I call being PC, which is perpetually codependent. And PC is any one of these behaviors: perfecting, performing, pretending, or people-pleasing, or controlling, constricting, competing, or caretaking. And if you do these behaviors for a long time enough, you don't have to do all of them. It could literally be one thing that you're doing that is really corrupting your whole entire system. Maybe your thing is just that you're trying to control everything all the time. And when you're going along fine, try to stuff it down and make sure you look like everything's firing on all cylinders. And then all of a sudden, when one thing goes out of place because you find yourself being a control freak, that's what trips your ticking time bomb wire. And then you go off. Maybe you're a person who is used to pretending all the time. How are you? Fine. Is anything wrong? Nope. Everything's great. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. And then all of a sudden, you just can't keep that up anymore. You can't keep pretending in your own life. And so you just have to finally, you just blow up. And, I know for me, there is a middle ground. For me, it was like all black and white. It was like I'm either really good and the pretty princess and suck it up and just pretend and I'm above that. No, I'm not bothered by you. Of course not. Or the psycho serial killer who's like, about to tell you about yourself. And I would get like street all of a sudden, like think that I like grew up, I don't know where, and just be like, yo, you're about to learn it today. I'm about to tell you about yourself, and I would just go off on people and practice the tongue. Like my tongue was like a sword and I would just cut anybody who would come in my path. And often, even in my relationships where I would truck along, pretend to be fine, and then all of a sudden I would just let whoever I was with have it, and another thing, and I haven't been happy forever. And why do we let it get to that point? You know what the crazy thing is? Here's the ironic thing. The reason we let it get to the point where we actually flip out on people is because we're most of the time doing this behavior, which is people pleasing. We're mostly doing the behavior of people pleasing, thinking, I don't want to upset people. I don't want to make people angry and tell them how I really feel. So let me keep it under my hat. And then by the time you actually do tell people how you really feel, you did way worse than what you originally would have done. You really hurt their feelings. You really set, did a number on them. And some of us actually pride ourselves when we get to that point of like, you can push me and push me until I blow up. Well, that's not a badge of honor. That's a sign that you don't know how to articulate what you really think and what you really feel. And that's a road that's very dangerous because you're either sucking it up or drowning it down or numbing it out. And eventually it catches up with you. So I know for me, it was really the people pleasing thing. I literally didn't want anybody to think that I wasn't happy with them or that they were bothering me. And I didn't want to make people feel uncomfortable. So in my quest to make people not feel uncomfortable, I felt truly uncomfortable. And then how would I medicate my own uncomfort? I would drink or shop or isolate or eat or do whatever. And then if I had a couple of drinks in me, then I would all of a sudden feel like, oh yeah, I can really be myself now. I can really tell how I really feel. I can really let the truth serum flow. But that alcohol is not truth serum. It's dummy juice. I mean, it makes you like completely check out of your own mind, and it doesn't get you in touch with anything other than our idiocracy. So it's not a real barometer at that point, right? So how do you stop this? Well, I could say to myself, wow, what happened on that bus ride, right? With that guy, Vacation Bob, and when I acted like such a jerk to him, and what was really going on there? And I could start to blame myself and say, well, I'm a bad person. I can't control my temper. I don't know how to just be, for many years, I actually didn't know how to be mad without crying, without actually being, breaking down, because my anger would just create embarrassment. By the time I got like confrontational, I would just be all over the place, look like an actual basket case because I had no practice articulating my desires. Maybe you can relate to that. Maybe you are in a situation, it's from your training, you grew up kind of like button it up and don't really talk about those things or suck it up or stuff it down or whatever. Your needs aren't going to get met anyway, so why bother? And you have a lot of practice at kind of stuffing things down and not telling people what you really think or feel. And then by the time you do, it's like ugly, okay? It's terrible. And there is this middle place. How do you get to this middle ground of like not overreacting, not flipping your lid? Well, I could say, blame myself. Like I was saying, I'm a terrible person. It's all my fault. I just don't know how to control myself. I need to be kinder. I need to meditate more. I need to chant. But no, that's a Band-Aid on a flesh wound. Meditation and chanting and positive affirmations are all great. But if I don't get to the root of what the issue is, I'm going to keep piling up Band-Aids on flesh wounds. And the reality is, like, I know for sure you can't polish a turd. There I go being crass again, right? But I'd rather be myself fully and wholly than blow up is what I'm talking about, the ticking time bomb. So I asked myself many years ago when I was kind of tired of living this double life, like good girl, pretty princess, ugly stepsister, because both were a show. Nobody's a pretty princess and nobody's really an ugly stepsister. In our hearts, there's a middle ground, right? How can I be that person in the middle, which, is kind, but takes no shit? And that's really the point that I help my clients get to. And one of the ways that we do that is we stop pretending that the problem is just us. And we have a temper problem or an anger problem, or we have some kind of personality disorder. And really start to look at what's probably causing some of those things, right? It's the chicken or the egg. Am I an erratic, multiple personality person, or is there something creating this thing within me? And 9 times out of 10, there's a situation that's underneath of that we're not acknowledging that is creating some of this behavior. So what I help people do, and I know what I did many years ago, back in 2008, when I kind of had enough of this lifestyle of this back and forth and all or nothing and behaved good girl, bad girl, success, failure. And I kind of had this like just my fill of living a double life and wanted to be really what I wanted is just to be consistently, authentically, genuinely happy all the time. I really wanted to find that place of like authentic happiness. So there are two questions that I asked myself. And these are the two questions that I have all my clients start to really ask themselves when we're working together. It's number one, what am I no longer willing to settle for? And number two, what do I really, really want? Now, here's the funny thing. When I can ask people what they don't want to settle for anymore, that's easier, right? Because it's a little easier because they kind of know what they've been tolerating, sucking up, and what's not working anymore. But when I ask the second question of like, what do you really want? Do you know most people don't know? And why is that? Why would you get to the point that you actually don't even know what it is that you want because you've been so busy wondering what everybody else wants and doing what everybody else wants to do instead of what it is that you actually want? You spend so long living your life for other people that you're actually out of touch with what your true desires actually are. And so, part of the program that I walk people through, this life program that I keep talking about, Love Yourself First for a Change, is really a series of 7 self-love vows that women take in order to put themselves first for a change and really live an authentically happy life. Not selfishly. It's not selfish to put yourself first. It's the most selfless thing you can do because that fuels everything else, right? But anyway, in these 7 self-love vows, one of the things is I will honor my wants and desires. And if you're at the point where you're a ticking time bomb, it's because you had these desires and wants that you're doing one of two things. You're squashing them down and putting them to the wayside, and you know what you want, and you're just, I'll do that later. I'll get to myself later. I'll do that thing that I really want to do later. And you're pushing it down on your to-do list. Or the other thing is you're expecting another human being to meet your needs for you. And that's probable because you meet everybody else's needs. So why wouldn't they meet your needs, right? But that's really not how life works. Most people aren't like you and me. They don't go around putting other people before themselves. Maybe you've noticed. Most people actually live a life for themselves, right? And part of you hates that because you're like, they put themselves first, but you hate it because you reject it in yourself. You're not willing to do it, so it bothers you in another human being. When you start doing it for yourself, you're like, good on them. They should put themselves first. Nobody else is going to do it, right? So if you expect another human being to meet your needs, you're in a relationship and you're like, you should know what I want. You should do the things I do for you, that you should do for me what I do for you. You should anticipate my needs before they even come about. You should do what I do. You should be me, in essence. And again, nobody is you. Nobody's going to do that but you. So you expect somebody else to meet your needs and know better and like treat you how you treat them. And they're not doing that. And then you suck it up and take it for so long. And then you just blow up on this person. And it's not that one incident. It's like you've got a whole arsenal of things that you've been holding in that they've been doing. Now, the cool thing is you can cut that off at the pass by learning how to identify what it is that you need. And here's a radical concept: meeting your needs, asking for what you want. Oprah Winfrey has a great quote. I love it so much. She said, you have what you're brave enough to ask for in life. You get what you're brave enough to ask for. If you want somebody to stop treating you a certain way, or you're about to be a ticking time bomb, you're about to blow up, why are you waiting for that point where you're just going to be full of shame and guilt? Why not learn how to cultivate your voice, speak your truth, and stand in that place of dignified power, which is, here's my line, here's my limit. When you cross it, here's what I do. Not have to wait and then unload on somebody, right? Speak that truth on a consistent everyday basis. I have no problem now. Thank God I have mastered this in my own life. And God bless my husband, because I was with my sister one day, and my sister knows my entire history, of course, right? And her and her husband were in the back. She and her husband were in the back, and Doug and I were in the front. And Doug went into the store, and I said something about what I wanted, like, it's too hot, I'm staying in here, I'm not going to go in. I'm not even going to pretend that I want to do what everybody else is doing, because I don't, right? And my sister was like, wow. She was like, you have no problem to ask him for what you want, like saying what it is that you want. And dug in, and I marveled at that because I thought to myself, holy shit, she's right. Now I've been doing it for so long and helping other women do it for so long that I forget sometimes there was a time that I actually didn't feel like I deserved to even ask for what I wanted. I was afraid to ask for what I wanted. When somebody wanted to pay me something, even recently, I was negotiating to do something for somebody for a project, and they were like, we want to pay you this. And I said, I'm not going to do it for less than this. You know, the old me would have been like, shit, if I say that, will they walk? Will they not do it? Well, I don't care because I know the value that I bring to the table. So if they're not willing to meet me here, then it's okay with me. I'll find something else. Right. So, and my husband jokes all the time. He says, boy, men joke all the time. They want a woman who tells them what they want. They better be careful what they ask for. Right. Because just have no problem. Right. So number one, maybe you're not articulating what it is because you don't know what it is that you need. I can help you figure that out. We can do this exercise together. What do you want? What's not working? What is working? And then start to set your life up in a way where you're getting your needs met. You know, my God, hey, honey, there is no prize for sacrifice. Do you know that? There is no prize for settling other than unhappiness and overwhelm. It's like the booby prize, right? There's no award. I think you get your signals crossed in childhood when you grow up in a family that's dysfunctional, and this is how a lot of these behaviors come out, right? That you say, if I don't need in my own family because I have this situation, this other thing going on in my family. So if I'm just like less needy, then maybe mom won't be overwhelmed. Maybe dad won't drink. Maybe my family can stay together and they won't fight anymore if I just kind of don't have any needs and add to their stress. So somewhere along the line, you learn that you having needs and desires and having a truth was a bad thing. And you learn to like squash it down, smush it out. Well, honey, yesterday ended last night, and your history is long gone, and you can't drive your car forward looking in the rearview mirror of your past. Now it's time to set this a new dawn. It's a new day. That behavior worked for you back then, honey, but now it's crippling you. It's not working anymore. And how do you know? You're anxious, you're blowing up on people, or you're just sad. You're a ticking time bomb knowing you don't self-destruct on other people, honey. You implode on yourself. You push your self-destruct button, right? Maybe it's time. Isn't it time to start saying, yeah, all right, I don't know, Heidi, if I really can do this, but I'm just going to take the first step in faith. I'm going to reach out to you. I'm going to keep getting better. I'm going to come to these Tuesday teachings. I'm going to partner with you and mentor with you, because I have to tell you, sister, I've walked that path before you of constricting yourself, placating to other people, and to be in the position now of power, real power, right? Not force, power, real power from within, standing in your own truth and in your own worthiness. Your life is a different experience. You just don't settle for things. You don't settle for that anymore. You don't have to suck it up. There's no prize for that. Like, your people in your life aren't going to go, oh, honey, thank you so much. You self-sacrificed your entire life. Don't think that even Mother Teresa was really self-sacrificing. She got tremendous value and reward out of doing what she was doing. She did it because it lit her up, not just because it lit everybody else up. Nobody dedicates their life like that unless it lights them up from the inside too. All right? Don't be a martyr. Don't walk around thinking if you just keep giving to everybody else and put you last on the list, that suddenly somebody's going to give you the pie instead of waiting to see if there's a slice left. That's not how life works. You are the pie. You make the pie and you serve yourself the pie. All right? Anyway, now I'm like ranting about pies and we just got weird. Let me check in with you guys. Hey, Christy. Hey, Teresa. What do you want? Yeah. What do you want, Suzanne? It's been a long time. So good to hear from you. What do you want? That's like the mother load question. You'll answer that question when you start asking yourself, what don't you want? That's easier sometimes. Like, what is mine no longer going to settle for? I have to say, these two questions continually saved my life over and over again. I know if I start to be a ticking time bomb and I start to have like these, feelings of like overwhelm or resentment or whatever, that I just have to ask myself these two questions, get to the root of it, and make some changes. And I find that life just gets exponentially better every time I revisit them. Paula, you're welcome, honey. So, I want you to join me in this. How do you know that you should be a part of you should pick up what I'm laying down and we should do this together? Because every time you come to these sessions, I'm singing your song. You hear yourself in me. And I'm not better. I'm not more evolved. I'll tell you what I am, more self-aware. I know myself so well that I know you like the back of my hand because we're the same. Right. And now I know how to get to the other side of that. So I'm just a little further down the path. That's all. I want to be the lighthouse when it's dark for you. I want to light your way. Allow me to do that. It's really funny because in talking to a woman like you, like myself, do you know what we do last? Help. Ask for help. Because we're like, I'll get it. I got it. I'll do it myself. I don't want anybody to come alongside of me. I got this. I know. I know. And I'm going to tell you there's a better way. There's a better way than just having to figure everything out all by yourself all the time. You're a powerhouse. You're a rock star. Nobody's going to underestimate you. But we are going to get to the point where you say you've just had enough and it's time to just actually make your life a little easier. Wouldn't that be a concept? And have somebody come alongside you and help you along the way. I have some spots open for you to do that in my private practice. So if you're interested in that, message me. Or if you want to do more of a group kind of situation, do like a tribe situation, you can go to HeidiRain.com and figure out how you can be a part of that life program, that Love Yourself First. Many, many ways to work together. I hope this has been helpful for you today. I love you very much. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you real soon in another Teaching Tuesday. If you have another suggestion of what you'd like to see, leave it. As always, I'm here to serve you. All right? I love you. Take excellent care. I'll see you soon. Bye.